pretty. Hold on. Then, I was gonna do a pretty what the fuck, and Richard Ramirez was gonna be what the fuck, but you know. I suppose I'll do it another time. So warning is.
You didn't have to be an evil, Richard? We are all evil in some form or another. Are we not? I'm asking you the question.
No.
Yes, I am evil.
We're not evil in some form or another. People are inherently good.
Lock your doors, lock your windows. If you have the ability to provide additional security devices, then by all means do so. Who wants to be next?
This is the Richard Ramirez show. What the fuck?
Everybody in the county of Los Angeles and Southern California was scared. It was a very, very hot summer.
I'm
And we got
giving
up
you
the
the
at night. We sheltered in our house every night because I was afraid somebody would come in and kill me.
the angles. As if you're interested in how I'm saying angles.
A lot was made. You're a devil worshiper. You worship the devil? You ever studied saint music?
There are different sects of Satanism.
Have you just yes or no? Have you studied
Yes,
saint music?
yes I have.
Are you a worshiper of the devil?
No comment.
Now, on the morning of August 1st, 1985, Richard Ramirez's picture ran on front pages. Within hours, angry residents of this East LA neighborhood spotted, captured, and then severely beat Richard Ramirez as he tried to steal a car to evade police.
I mean, he was a dirty rapist as well. Me too. Me too brought you that. And you lucky people, you get to see the
The man who terrorized Los Angeles was once a cute kid with big brown eyes and an easy smile. In school, many of the girls had crushes on him.
He was really charming and he was very nice. He was a nice boy.
Yet by his 25th
Imagine.
birthday, he would be charged with 2 kidnappings, 6 rapes, and 13 murders.
You have to understand, we're talking about a reincarnated
And
psychopath.
he was
We're
a
talking about
fact.
a raging psychopath who has no morals, no scruples, and no ethics.
He began his journey seeking God and ended up in the arms of the
No
devil.
cheekbones.
Some serial killers kill prostitutes. Some serial killers kill young boys. Some serial killers kill homeless people.
What could be more terrifying than senseless murder? One that comes without warning and without motive. In the summer of 1985, Southern California was held hostage by a rabid creature of the night, a phantom killer who cloaked himself in darkness as he perpetuated a series of grisly murders.
He wore black. He had a black hat on. He wore black socks. He wore black shoes. Gravitated towards shadows purposely.
That bald man is Philip
On the morning of
Carlo.
July 20th, 1985, at the height of his killing spree, Max and Leland Knighting were supposed to meet their daughter Judy before going to church. When they didn't arrive, Judy drove to their house in Glendale.
I remember entering from the back door, and I saw that the back door was open. It was not shut, and a pane had been broken. And I walked down the bedroom, and my father was laying on the bed. His head was almost totally decapitated. My mother had been shot in the face, apparently, because she didn't seem to have a face.
His wanton brutality struck fear into the hearts of Californians. For 5 months, the police had been after him. Now they were desperate. Detective Frank Salerno from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Office set off on an around-the-clock manhunt. He was all too familiar with this killer's gruesome techniques.
He would enter a house at night, and if he found a couple, a male and a female, what he would do is he would eliminate the male as quickly as possible. And generally, he would place a 22 caliber or 25 caliber up against the victim and execute. And then if the female victim, it appears, didn't resist, then he would sexually assault that victim. If the female victim resisted, then he would kill that victim also.
Then, after robbing and ransacking the house, he'd disappear. But soon, he would kill again.
One of the aspects that made this case so different, so unusual, was the fact that the assaults happened in many different cities. Los Angeles is perfectly suited for an individual who wants to go from city to city to city killing people because of the freeway. He used the freeway. He exploited this freeway.
In what became a regular routine, the killer would cruise quiet suburban neighborhoods, searching for a dimly lit home in the dead of night. When he found one to his liking, he would case it. Then, as quietly as a snake, he entered.
Richard Ramirez.
He would force windows. He would take window screens off and pry a window open.
The no cheekbone killer. That's what he should have been called, because he had no cheekbones and
Lassell Park, a small community northeast of Los Angeles. His first known victim was Jenny Vincow. Her age was 79. In the still of the night, he removed the screen to her apartment and silently entered.
She was brutally killed. You know, this was a man that overpowered an elderly woman. The person went overboard. Wounds to the upper torso, neck, arm area, face, back. A lot of stab wounds.
that.
While investigators were
No,
preparing the body for the morning,
that
they
one
discovered a key
like
piece of evidence,
Richard
a fingerprint.
Ramirez.
But in 1984,
Didn't
fingerprints
look,
were not as useful
doesn't
as they
look
are today.
like
Then,
him.
they could only help link a suspect to a crime after he was identified.
At the time that the Department of Justice had about 6 million fingerprints in master fingerprint file. So the chances of matching that would be almost impossible.
We all know what Richard Ramirez
It
looks
would
like.
eventually be instrumental in convicting the murderer, but it wasn't up and running yet. In the meantime, the Night Stalker cruised the freeways, listening to heavy metal and looking for a victim. His second murder
Heavy
occurred on March
metal.
17, 1985.
Marie Hernandez apparently was spotted as she was driving on the freeway, and killer followed her home.
As she closed the automatic door of her garage, the Night Stalker crept in with her.
And she heard the slightest of sounds, and she turned towards it. And there was this person dressed all in black holding a gun up at her. She said, "No, please don't." And he fired, he shot him. And the bullet was deflected by the keys, and she fell down and she played dead. And thinking he killed her, he went up to the apartment upstairs.
Marie's roommate, Dale Okazaki, was inside. She heard the gunshot and tried to hide behind the kitchen counter.
She became curious and wanted to see what happened, and she slowly raised her head, and she got shot right dead in the middle of the fire, and she was dead before she hit the ground.
But Marie Hernandez got a good look at the killer as he flew out of the house. She described him as tall, dark, and Hispanic. It was a huge break for the police. They already knew that his desire for murder seemed insatiable.
Good job she didn't describe him as tall, dark, and handsome.
This was not a man who could wait
And
for a week
handsome.
or a month to feel the gradual tension and need to build up. This is a man who, in a matter of hours, could begin again to feel the lust for murder.
At about 1 a.m. that same night, with his adrenaline pumping, the Phantom found another young woman. This one was driving on the San Bernardino freeway. Her name was Sai-Lin Yu. He followed her off the freeway. She pulled over, asked him why he was trailing her, and threatened to call the police. The stalker immediately forced her into the car, shot her dead, and vanished. But again, he left some critical evidence. The sheriff's office recovered
Why you stop me? I call police.
That night and decided
No,
on
that's
tests.
So within a
a
couple of
bit
days,
racist.
the firearms section of the patio
Sorry.
recorded bullets from those two scenes. We knew that we had a serial killer because both they matched.
Salerno and his partner Gil Carrillo had
But I'll
connection
never say
before
the
ignited a
N-word.
citywide hysteria.
No.
But they needed to find more clues. They waited 10 days before he struck again.
Unlike
On March 28, 1995,
Unlike
the killer
someone.
up to the house of Vincent and Maxine Zazzara.
What he would do was, he'd shut the car engine and shut the lights if the car was still moving, and it would slowly, silently roll
A
to a stop.
twitch.
He cased the
Stop.
Zazzara home.
He tried to get in the front door, it was locked. He tried to get in the side windows, they were all locked. He went in the back, everything was locked.
But he didn't give up. He noticed a small window leading into the laundry room and quietly slid through.
When he got inside, he took off his shoes, got down low, and let his eyes adjust to the dark. There were two people in the house that night, Vincent and his wife Maxine. Vincent fell asleep watching television in the day room in front of the house.
The Night Stalker shot Vincent Zazzara in the head, killing him instantly. Maxine Zazzara tried to flee, but he captured her and tied her up. While the killer ransacked the house, Maxine freed herself and went for the shotgun hidden under the bed.
She grabbed the shotgun, picked it up, pointed it, and pulled the trigger. It just went click.
The Night Stalker shot her 3 times. Then he went to the kitchen and got a butcher knife.
And the killer was so incensed and outraged that she would try to do that he wanted to party her, literally. He cut out her eyes. He took both her eyes.
Eyes have a peculiar fascination for one group of psychotic people, paranoids.
What is terrifying to a paranoid is not that the other person sees them, but that for one brief moment, the glimpse and contact of another human eye makes them see themselves. When a person stares at a psychotic person, he forces them to look at themselves. And so the act of removing their eyes is the act of grabbing the mirror away from the victim.
Some serial killers will let you live if you talk to them, if you get to know them, if they get to know you. Some serial killers will take pity while others won't. Is there such a thing as a bad seed when a baby is born? Is he already a serial killer, already made, or is he created by his own deeds and feelings throughout his life?
Through March and April of 1985, the Los Angeles police knew they had a
Sounds a
serial killer
bit.
on their hands.
He sounds a
No
bit
idea who it
weird.
was. Then he struck again. On May 14, 1985, in the city of Monterey Park, William Doy was murdered by a gunshot to the head. Lillian,
A weird
was
sounding
and raped. After her ordeal, she described the killer as a tall, Hispanic
serial
dressed in
killer.
black, who had bad
Serial
teeth.
killer.
And at the scene, the killer unwittingly
Yeah,
left the police
that's
another
why
gentleman's
he.
a shoe print in the dirt outside.
We got lucky.
Lisps.
The shoe that he happened to be wearing was a new shoe.
Did then. He's dead now, thank God.
Of that year.
The brand name of the shoe was Avia. Detective Salerno ran a check on the sole pattern and found that only one pair of shoes of that pattern and size had been sold in the Los Angeles area. But because they were paid for in cash, the store owner couldn't recall who had bought them. The sheriff's office circulated pictures of the shoe with a composite drawing of the suspect, but nothing came of it. Then, 2 weeks later, in Monrovia,
Wow.
84-year-old Mabel Bell and her invalid sister Florence Lang were attacked. Mabel was bludgeoned to death with a hammer. Her 81-year-old sister was brutally raped and left for dead. This time, the killer left the police a clear message.
God.
A symbol of devil worship, a pentagram on Lang's inner thigh, and another on her bedroom wall. It was a disturbing clue. The Night Stalker was proclaiming to them he was in the service of Satan.
He didn't believe that he was possessed. What he believed was that he was the lone instrument of Satan. He was the private emissary of Satan. And for that, he believed he deserved and would get both a special protection in life and a special place in death.
Still, the police were mystified. Who was this madman who savagely raped and murdered multiple victims on his diabolical rampage? A murderer who was now proclaiming his allegiance to Satan. Ironically, this devil had started out as something of an angel.
People don't
True, but...
But the truth of the matter is, Richard Ramirez had a wonderful family.
Richard Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960 in El Paso, Texas. He was the fifth and last child of Julian and Mercedes Ramirez. Mercedes was a devout Catholic. Julian, who had only a first-grade education, grew up in Mexico, where he met and married Mercedes in 1948. A former policeman, he took a job as a laborer on the Santa Fe Railroad and he crossed the border with his new bride. Mercedes began working in a boot factory mixing pigments and chemicals.
Julian y Mercedes. I can say that I'm half Spanish.
Ruben and Joseph were both born with birth defects.
Not
She was
racist.
breathing fumes all day, and it was very, very difficult for her. But she was always loving, she was always kind.
Her pregnancy with Richard was the hardest. The fumes were making her weak and nauseous, and doctors suspected her body was trying to reject the child she was carrying. But despite her sickness, she gave birth
What I
to a
said
lovely and
before
seemingly
was
happy
racist, and
When I said to her, what was your son like as a little boy? She
if
looked up
there's
and her eyes started filling with tears, and these big crocodile tears rolled down her face.
any Chinese or Korean
And she wanted to describe this normal child who was very
people or people who might sound like that. Did I do an accurate job? I don't know.
and later as a 5-year-old.
Anyway.
Richard suffered accidental but traumatic head injuries, both of which were serious enough to have left him unconscious.
This isn't about
Still,
me.
Richard
This
did
is
well at
about
school,
the
and
Night
his friends remembered him fondly.
Stalker.
He was a friendly kid, very charming. Yeah, I remember him having with a lot of little girlfriends, girls that had crushes on him. But he was a very good person, a good child.
But there was one thing that set him apart.
He had epileptic attacks. This is when we were in the 5th grade. Ricky would have his attacks, his seizures, and we were pretty much programmed in the classroom. Teacher would hold him down. All the students would be all around the classroom against the walls. We felt for him.
The epileptic attacks continued and began to disrupt Richard's life.
And in fact,
Yes,
one of the important experiences in Ramirez's adolescent life was his anger about not being allowed to play football because he would have brief episodes of seizure-like behavior.
But other forces were shaping Ramirez too. Richard's father, Julian, was abusive, often beating his children with a belt.
His father was a strict disciplinarian. Believed in corporal punishment, and he beat his sons, and he was very violent with them. What affected him the most was not his father hitting him, it was seeing his father hit his brothers. He was moved by that. It altered him, it changed him in some way.
His father's temper was so volatile, he often exploded and took his rage out on himself, once banging his own head with a hammer until he bled. Richard escaped the brutality by staying near his mother and big sister. He tried to reinforce his strict Catholic upbringing, and as a child, he attended church regularly.
His mother was a benign female figure, and we have no data to indicate that she did anything that would arouse the kind of malevolent, psychotic rage that characterized this man.
He's very close to his sister. She doted on him.